Hey everyone, welcome back, Christina's Voce, and Happy New Year. It's January 5th or 4th or something. Yeah, January 4th, Thursday, January 4th, 2018. This is the first podcast of the year. Took a little break, and I'm sitting in front of a almost finished eaten plate of organic pea shoots, sprouted beans, with black Hawaiian volcanic salt, olive oil, lemon was on top of there, red onions, and then an organic mango chicken non-GMO sausage. Is that what it was? Yeah. Which means in total that I'm better than you, which is actually not true. I'm not better than you. That's what was in my house. That's the only thing that was in my house. If I wasn't on my period and too tired to go outside and walk around with cramps and in the heat and with the people coming back from work, then I would have went out and ate a giant bag of chips. But because I didn't, I got to start the new year off to a good start, which is that whole thing that I just described. Anyway, today is not about that, and maybe later about resolutions, but today is about this crazy like insight or revelation I just had. And I know this is not one of those podcasts where there's a topic or a theme. And sometimes it does seem like I'm like on the verge of that. But honestly, it's not. It's just that I feel like it, if I don't share, the only reason I know what I know is because someone else shared their revelation about themselves. So I'm just thinking, if that person ever did that, then how would I have gotten mine? And if I don't do it and I have 2 followers right now, I think, I don't know, and then whatever, however many online on YouTube, then how's anyone else going to know this about themselves? So basically, I'll try to give you the short version of the story. But basically, what I realized is why I haven't been able to get what I wanted in terms of my career. And I don't mean that like my entire life, because it's not my entire life. Like, I've had lots of highs and ups and peak experiences or whatever. But I'm just saying, since I've decided to be like, oh, I'm going to be a consultant, why has it been a struggle when literally I've had people coming to me since I was 19 or 20 asking for the same work. So if it's so easy for me, if people naturally gravitate towards me to do this work, and when I've done like other things kind of like associated with this, like I like contacting publishers and blah 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 and X, Y, and Z, it's been successful, it's been easy. If that's so easy and it has been so easy in the past, why now can I not take it to the next step? Like, why can't I now formalize everything that's already been kind of like in and out, weaving in and out of my life for the last whatever years? And I couldn't figure it out. And I really was like, oh, I'm not disciplined enough. I'm not pushing myself hard enough. I'm lazy. I'm scared. This person said this to me and that took my self esteem away. And this person outside of me did X, Y, and Z. Or, my mom put this in my head and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I did all the work, or the inside work and the outside work. And, I've tried to figure it out on my own, like what's going on, and trying to create like processes and try to take breaks and blah, blah. And I couldn't figure it out. And then last night, seriously, I was watching this workshop that happened in Long Beach, LA, or whatever. And there's this guy who he asked the same question. He's like, why can't I get what I want? Like, I don't understand. And he said he had similar background, like upbringing as me. And I was like, oh, I can relate to that. And then he said that he was very motivated and blah, blah, blah. He wanted a good career and he had like expensive tastes. And that's why he knew this is really important to get a certain type of lifestyle. But he couldn't get that kind of lifestyle because he was like trapped at home and, emotionally abusive family and blah, blah, blah. And what he realized that day, like on stage, was that he doesn't even really want the success. What he wants is connection, which, if you're not familiar with these, like, if I say connection, you're like, what do you mean connection? So there's like, anyone who reads Mark Mason will know what connection is. So it's not like always like, oh, love connection or whatever. It's like connection could be whenever you are. So people are motivated. There are three different. So people can be motivated by three main different types of categories, which is security, status, and connection. So connection can be described as a connection to your values, or, maintaining your integrity, or blah blah blah, or like you really care about freedom. So then if you if you long as you so connection for you could be maintaining a certain level of freedom. Connection can also obviously be between people. So if you work, let's say that you are a scientist and you're working for world peace, but you never get to see the people that you're helping, then you will, even though the work aligns with your values, you're missing the human, you don't get to see the people, then you'd still be missing a link in your connection. You wouldn't feel as fulfilled. So, anyways, it seems like for me, connection, which I already knew connection of the three things was like the strongest one for me. It's definitely not money. I knew connection was the strongest one, but I didn't realize that it was so much of a priority that my body was kind of like torn in two because it believed that, based on past experiences, that when I work, I will not get connection because that's how it's been in the past. I used to use work as a way of substituting for a lack of connection I had when I was younger because I was a little bit shy, or I just didn't understand how people worked in general. So it was harder for me to make friends just on the fly, like outside of organizations and things like that, than it was for me to shove myself into like really intense work. So I have this old memory of like, oh, you're not going to get any friends, or like a cool, like circle of unique people in your life, like people that vibe with you, if you pursue your work. Why do I say that? What are my interests? I love MMA. I love hip hop and battle rappers and all of that stuff. I like what's that type of comedy? It's not just slapstick. Ugh. Like the Rick and Morty type of comedy. It's like stupid funny but kind of witty and like very raunchy. Oh, there's a word for it and I cannot remember. Oh, like dank. I kind of like dank humor. Um, I'm also into like self development, like woo woo, spiritual stuff. Um, I like music. Like I like playing music. I like listening to music, of all genres. I like dancing, especially Latin dancing. I like physical activity, so like lifting, powerlifting, even cardio. I mean, I used to make a lot of friends because of cardio, but now it's, you know, I'm open to it, but it's more lifting and strength training and powerlifting and even calisthenics. I was looking at stuff like that and rehabbing muscles, and so not just the people who are like, oh yeah, all out. Like, I wouldn't really mesh well with a CrossFitter because they're just all about hitting those numbers, versus me right now where I'm at. I'm like, okay, you used to do that and now your body's falling apart and you're not even in your 40s. You're like, you still barely in your 30s. Let's try something different. And I don't know what else, like culture. I like languages and stuff. So my work though is, and I'm not saying it has to be this, but I'm just saying while I was like pursuing my work stuff here, I noticed that people I was running into were like way older, like 30 to 40 years older than me. They had that same vibe that I remember in high school, which is kind of like an achievement vibe, like, oh, I'm so happy for you. But you're like, they're not happy for you. They don't want to collaborate. They view everyone as competition, and for various reasons, like competition if you're in the same sector as them, kind of like not even interested in you at all if you're not in their sector though. Kind of the type of people who had like the tiger moms, so they only view satisfaction and achievement and whatever through being better than other people. And that's what I grew up around, and it did used to motivate me to some degree, but I remember just being in those circles where it's like, yeah, what do we have in common? That we want to try hard and do our best and learn a lot and take these hard classes. However, none of your jokes are funny. I do not listen to any of your pop music or whatever, or slow jams or whatever country stuff that is so soft and mellow. We can't hang out outside of class because why? What would we do? I'm not better than them. I didn't feel better than them. I just felt like they'd all collectively laugh at things that I'm just like, okay. And then if I say a joke, it's just kind of like, oh, oh, geez, like that was different. And like, yeah. And then I don't dress like those people, and we run in similar circles, but not really, you know? And I think I had all these stored up memories of that. Like, I'm either really into the things that I like and I like the coursework that I like and I really enjoy them, but then the people who I find in those circles were not necessarily the type of people I wanted to be friends with outside of those activities. Like it wasn't fulfilling enough. It felt like I was just kind of like fake smiling through everything. And so I think now, even though there could be carryover and I do have more control over who I work with because it's, my own stuff, I still have that memory of like, okay, are you even doing that? Cuz how come I'm not interviewing. I mean, I did kind of. I interviewed some gym people and I interviewed some musicians and things like that, but it still felt like. Oh, and the other thing too. So even though, okay, so let's pause real quick. Pause. So, one, I think that if I do the work that I'm doing, I'm not going to come across the type of people I don't want to be friends with, which means I have a weird thing. There's a rift in authenticity. Okay, second thing is, I don't know if you've ever done this exercise before, but not supposed to. If you'd like, there's a way to find your negative imprint, which is the general feeling that you feel all through life. Like if you had to write a story or a book about your life, the reoccurring theme that was negative would be reduced down to a word, and that would be the negative imprint that you came in to experience. So if you experience this negative imprint, whether it's the story you tell yourself or the story others have told you, this negative imprint is literally the clue that gives you the opposite, and the opposite tells you what you actually need in life to be happy. So, let me give you an example. My negative imprint since I was little, from my perspective, is rejection. So, I was super shy. I didn't know how the world worked outside my family. I grew up in a community where I was like the only one of whatever I was. So, I was the only athletic one. I was the only black and Mexican one. I was the only super smart kid that was like good at weird stuff. I was the only kid who had a lot of like integrity in some of my classes. Like I never cheated, and it used to be a big thing where even like my teacher would be like, "Why don't you just do it? Like everyone else is doing it. I don't care." I know that's weird to hear, and you're like, "No, you're making that up." Like, no, that literally is something that someone said. But I always, oh, and then I grew up in a community too where it was cool to drink and do drugs and smoke, and I know everyone's probably like, "No." Everyone is that's normal, like that's how it was. But I'm like, no, really, like people started doing that stuff like really early on, like 11 years old, and already like having sexual experiences. And like I remember there's like fifth graders that had Victoria's Secret bras that they'd stuff. It was just a really fast environment, and I was more deciding like I'm not going to do that from an early age for my own personal reasons. And so I just always felt counterculture to whatever that culture that I grew up was in. So I just felt a lot of rejection growing up. And so the opposite of that is to feel desired. And it's not going to be like the most logical opposites here. Like, no, the opposite of rejection is like inclusion. I'm like, yeah, okay. But I'm saying for me, specifically, the feeling that I have is to be desired. So if my positive imprint is to be desired, then that is the imprint I have to take with me in all my decision making if I want to be happy. So let's go back to what I was saying earlier. Having a successful career did not in my mind, not even my mind, it's just because it wasn't at all conscious. Like if you ask me why I wasn't moving forward in my career, I'd have so many like excuses, like I need to push myself harder and blah 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 blah, and I'm not doing this. This is a really like unconscious or subconscious thing that's going on here. So when I say that having a successful career for me meant I was either not going to meet the people that I wanted to be friends with, or if I became successful, then people would only want to be friends with me or talk to me because of my success. Therefore, my positive imprint of feeling desired, wanting to be desired, it wouldn't exist. And the reason it wouldn't exist is because I'm not being desired for me as a person. I'm being desired for what I do or what I can do for them or for the title or the fame or the status that I hold, which is not okay with me. Something I just realized. Not just realized, but you kind of are like, well, yeah, obviously you wouldn't want a wife that just wants you for your money, or you wouldn't want a husband that just wants you because you're hot. We all know that, but I didn't really equate it to my career until just right now. So, why is this all important? It's not. I'm just sharing because it's my podcast and you're listening, so you're obviously going to listen to what I care about. So, what I did actually after that, like earlier today, I sat down and I wrote out that pyramid, that Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I was like, okay, what the heck was I trying to do? So if you look at the pyramid, the base to the top is physiological needs. I'm reading from my notes. I'm not like, wow, right off the top of my head. It's so smart. I'm reading. So physiological needs is the first, and then we'll go up. Safety needs, and then love and belongingness needs, and then self-esteem needs. Then at the very tippy top, it's self-actualization. But then a lot of people include this another little tippy top, which would be service to others, because before he died, he actually was like, oh, sorry, I'm missing one. Like, maybe not a lot of people had gotten to the self-actualization phase while he was studying it, but after that phase, there's like, okay, after I hit my big win, now I have service to others. So I included it in mine. So what I was trying to do was go from to having my safety needs, which is like freedom from fear, so I feel safe, stability, and then I was trying to jump up to the self-esteem needs, which is number 4, without doing number 3, which is having love and belongingness needs. So friendship, intimacy, and then the giving and receiving of all of that. Sorry. So I didn't know that. I didn't know that I was trying to jump. And I was trying to jump. You know how long I was trying to jump? All that. I wrote down the dates of like when I got each one. So I basically got to my physiological needs met. I got them met in 2014 when I moved home. I was living and working abroad in Italy, and I just felt like very overwhelmed with the work and the relationship situation I was in. And I was like, it's time to come home. I just needed to recharge. And I got that I got that need met when I moved home with my parents. And I was like, okay, this is like the safe place. Like no one's going to ask me for rent. I already know that. No one's going to bother me. I have a car. There's food if I want it. Like there's a dog I can hug. That's when I felt safe. But what I didn't realize at that time was like home for me is not the best place to grow from. Like some people, and I hear a lot of stories about this, like they get like this. I was watching Talladega Nights, and I was like, wow, that's what it's like to go home after a big fail. Like your mom just brings up a guru for you, and then like that guru just takes care of you and then helps you get past your fear. Like that's not what it is for me moving home. It's just what I thought it was. So home for me was not the best place to get this need met, but I did have it met to some degree. So basically, even though I was trying to start my career off at that time, I didn't want, like in my mind, I was like, okay, getting my career started while I have my friends around me, my family around me, my extended family around me, it's not going to make me happier, because basically what I want is connection. Again, not something I knew at the time, but now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I was so slow to move. So at that time, what had to happen was the person I was kind of talking to had to like shift away from me. And then I was like, oh, now that need is not 100% met. And I shifted to 2015 to getting, so 2015 to 2017, before I even really started focusing on my career again, I was more focused on, getting a boyfriend. I had just broken up with a boyfriend of like, about 4 years or so, that I thought it was going to be like, that's the one. So yeah, I was kind of like, okay, even though work is more important and I should be searching for a job, I was super focused on dating and understanding attachment issues and understanding the psychology behind the mistakes that I had made in the past, and understanding what might be dysfunctional about the way that I attach with people, and also understanding the other side of like what's going on in the US, because before I was not dating in the US, I was dating in another country. So I just, being gone for that long and then starting to date here when you're like, I don't know, like late 20s, it just felt like overwhelming. I was like, there's not going to be anyone else out there. And now I don't know how to get guys, because I used to go to clubs and bars, and now when you go to clubs and bars, everyone is like 7 years younger than me. So, it was just a whole process, and I was really focused and I took it seriously. I mean, I also, I went out and had fun, and I did it with friends who are also single, but I also was trying to take a deeper, in-depth look at what was the root behind the mistakes I was making in the dating world, etc., etc. So that took so that was 2015 to 2017. By the end of, not even the end, in that 2 year gap, I found a boyfriend, got engaged, and got married, and moved out of my home, out of my state, and made it to Hawaii, and set. So that's the end of 2017. Like, for sure, cemented in stone. I have stability. I have freedom from fear, and the fear that I had at that time, the biggest fear that I had at that time was just, I guess, conflict. I don't like conflict, and there was so much of it, not even under the surface, like exploding around me with me in the center of it. There was so much. I don't want to say drama because you're like, oh yeah, just a little drama. Like, no, the stuff that was going on back home during this time was crazy. It was like epically dysfunctional and crazy, and I was doing my best to stay way out of it, but it's still like having that around me, having that bump up against me, having the gossip and whatever swirl around me. It was just like, okay, I'm in my own zone. I'm not going to lash out at people. I'm not going to go in to correct people. I'm not going to defend myself. However, I wish this wasn't happening. But I would already resign to like, I'm just going to live through it until the next change happens, which I didn't expect to be what it is, which is wonderful, amazing change. Like, I wish this was, well, even if I could show you, like, this is not a video. Even if I could show you, it wouldn't be the right time to show you, but the place is coming along pretty nicely. It's going to have a lot more done by the 12th because I'm getting a visitor over. So it's just already night and day from the time that we moved in. But anyway, so, end of 2017, I met the second need, and again, still had not killed my career stuff the way that I know that I can. Because oh my God, in the short amount of time, I've been able to do it. So, I was like, all right, why was I pushing so hard? It was not time. Like, now I know 2017 was not the time. So, 2018, I'm not saying it's going to have to take all of 2018, but until I meet number 3, love and belongingness needs or whatever, I am not moving on to my career until that gets met. So, what do I imagine that's going to be? I don't know. I don't think I've ever, well, no, okay, I have had that in different ways, but I have a feeling it's going to be like a tribe of people that are on the same page as me, who don't fear. So, here's what I imagine it like, based on me and where I plan to go and blah blah blah. I imagine it being people that I would be cool with having around my friends and family and husband. I also imagine it being like a mix of young, my age, and older. And I imagine it being people who are active, artsy, driven, but not driven in a way of like be to compete, just more like they have a passion, and their passion is something they've been able to turn into like a work type of gig. They're going to be people who are smarter than me, and also people who can learn from me. They're going to be people who are peaceful. So for me, peaceful doesn't mean like quiet and calm. For me, peaceful is like people who can laugh really loud and are loose, and they're not also focused on me. I really don't like when people focus on me, because most of the times in my past when people focused on me, it's to pick me apart, and they're picking me apart because they don't like whatever it is they feel that I'm confident in, which just shows me that they don't like me when I'm big. And if I plan on being bigger than what I am now in the future, it's just not going to work. And I've had that before, where I've had a group where we like worked out okay in the beginning, but then whenever I was like, okay, so I'm out of my hibernation, which, and I'll go on hibernation for 3 years. Like, people will meet me at the beginning of my hibernation and be like, this is who she is. And then later on, when I'm like, hey guys, sorry, can't meet up. I have interviews with X, Y, and Z musicians every weekend, and I'm over here and I'm doing this and da da da, and I'll see you next week. Like, it's like night and day the way that people treat me. So I already know for a fact that even if they meet me when I'm like kind of bummy or whatever, like, I'm not always going to be like that, and I need people who are cool with me when I'm on and when I'm off. And what else would I want in my little tribe? I'd want fun people, you know? I want people who are learning still. Like, I plan on learning new languages, new languages. And I also plan on hopefully picking up swimming. Swimming, yeah, I'm pretty sure I used to know how to swim. There's no way that I didn't used to know how to swim. I'm pretty sure, but I cannot at all say that I know how to swim now. Like going in the ocean right now and watching people like paddleboard, for me, I'm like, well, if I fall off, I might die. Which it doesn't make sense. I remember being kicked off a boat in Panama, and we were on a tour or something, and the guy was like, "All right, there's your island," and then everyone just turned around and looked at the guy, and he's like, "Yeah, go." And our stuff was on the boat, and we were in the middle of nowhere, and we just had like a little scuba set on, and he's just told us to jump out and swim to the island, and I did. There's all this reef and like animals everywhere, and I was having a panic attack through my snorkel thing, and the reef was so close to the edge of like the surface of the water that I was like, my knee is gonna just slam into all of this, and it was still so far away from the beach that I couldn't just get up and walk. And even if I did get up and walk, I didn't have shoes on, so I was walking on like no, it was just a crazy thing. But I swam there. I didn't even second guess it and have a life vest or anything. And I also didn't have a like there's no edge to it. It was just like the boat was in the middle of where it was, and everyone was just swimming meters to this beach separately. Like you couldn't do it together. You couldn't hold hands. There's no anything. So I know I won't die if I go in the ocean, but the thing is that's not the same thing as swimming. And over here already in the winter, I already saw on North Shore, like the waves were crazy. Like the lifeguards were like, "Hey guys, like it's probably not gonna be the day. Like, you're gonna have to get out," and people just did not care. They're like body slamming themselves into these really white, big rip tides, and they were like, "Get your children out. Sorry, like this is not the time." And people were like, "Oh, fine." And then like 10 minutes later, the children be back like so. The children would be. I mean, the waves were so crazy that you couldn't even be where it broke at all. Like the kids would have to be way out where it spills out. I don't know beach terminology, but way out till it spills out to the sand, and it would still like sweep them up. And even like grown adults would like I stood in it. I stood in the part where it didn't even break. It was just pulling back and forth, and I was like, it's gonna take my legs. Like by the time the other wave came in, when it pulls away, it was like pulling all the sand above and below my legs. Yeah. Okay. So husband just came home. This is awkward for me to film. I mean, record while I'm doing this, but oh no, I lost my train of thought because of that. Crap. Well, anyway, don't remember what I was gonna say. I'll come back to this later if I can. I probably can't. Why was I talking about the beach? Oh yeah, I just wanted to learn how to swim, surf, take MMA classes, and I get better at all this media stuff. Like I just need to do it more often. And there's also this other project I want to do that's media based. It's photography based, which is not my strength, but how hard could it be is what I always think. Like you could just put filters and stuff on things or whatever. But yeah, there's some projects that I want to work on, but again, they're not going to be priorities. The priority is going to be 2018, get my little tribe in order. And I want to see how that goes because I've never tried to consciously do that first. I've never tried to be like, oh, I'm going to make friends now. I just always like, it just happens. Like, I'll just take a break and then I'm like, oh, I've been hanging out by myself long enough. Maybe I should go to parties more and then, be social. And then, oh, now I meet these really cool friends. And then they inspire an idea that I push for really hard, and it always ends up being this like epic thing, but it's not ever been something that I knew was going to lead to the next step. Like I never knew that having friends did inspire the type of action that I took to have really cool like work or let's say production based creations. I don't even know what to call it 'cause sometimes it's not work, it's just a really cool thing that I'll put together, and maybe I make money from it. Sometimes I just don't call it work. But yeah, I have like really cool things when I'm inspired to do them, and I feel like I'm inspired to do some things now. It's just that they're not coming together, and I'm like, oh, okay, that part is missing again, the friend part that I didn't think about in the past. I didn't know that was a thing that I needed. And I guess I didn't even notice now that I didn't have friends, quote unquote, because I was like, oh, I'm in a new place. How can I have like a billion friends already? Um, but I didn't realize that this whole time, like 2014 to now, since I didn't have a tribe, I was actually getting rid of a lot of people in my life, like a lot, like purging. Not even me, like, oh, I want to get rid of them. Not in the beginning. It was more like they're just disappearing or like weird things would happen and people would not be a match to me anymore. Like literally, like can't be in the same room with me. We are not getting along. Like I am going out of my way not to talk to people. It started off like that, and then it was like, oh, I get it. Like these people need to be cut off. So I was like, yeah, this whole time, 2014 till now, I didn't have a tribe. Definitely not people I had a connection with. If anything, I was like people I was like clashing with, which is fine. I guess that has to happen to you every 15 years. I can't remember the last time I lost a friend or anyone close. Like I don't usually do that. I keep friends for almost life. It doesn't matter if you haven't seen them in like 7 years or 8 years or whatever. Like when I see them, like, hey, how's it going? And like I care instantly about everything they're doing and it's everything back to normal. But in this case, and then like I think it happened at one time when I was like 19, I like had let go of someone who was like really close to me, and I was like, oh no, you gotta go. Like in a really nice and like, hey, sorry, kind of way. But I was like, oh yeah, I guess you do have to kind of clean house every 15 years, maybe more often if you're, or less often if you have better friends. But that's what happened. Okay, I just kicked the husband out, which is not nice. Um, oh, speaking of someone who has their balance in order, um, my my taller half is like lightweight internet famous right now, which is I get to see like firsthand what my career could look like potentially if I keep going. And it just looks very balanced from my perspective. Looking at it, it looks very balanced and healthy and like not it didn't change anything about the way he interacts with me or the outside world, or like people will come up to us and be like, oh my gosh, I know you and like admire you. Or like sometimes it'll be even like a work related call that he's on, and then he'll discover that the person he's talking to knows him already and like really admires him, and it's kind of a little bit weird. But he's taking it in stride and showing me, well, it could be actually really balanced and fun, but it doesn't actually change anything. So that's good to know, and it's good to see. And it's also nice to see too that there are definitely, it's going to be like a clear line of people who want you because of the things that you have, and the people who are like, hey, I want to connect with you because I think you're cool, and I wouldn't have known you were cool unless I saw the thing that you were doing. Which for me, I was like, whoa, whew, that's a relief. It's not like a weird mass thing that you're like, oh, which ones are the good ones and which ones are the like suck your life ones. And this is like, it's like crystal clear, like night and day. Like even the messages that he'll get, some people are just like, hey, that thing was cool, give it to me. And you're like, oh, okay. And he'll always open, it's a helicopter somewhere. I'll just let that pass. Yeah, he'll always open dialogue with those people and be like, hey, just by the way, like this is because I got this from here and this is where I got it from, and this is these are the type of retreats and workshops I go to, and they're really helpful and blah 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 blah. And like, just kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. Like maybe they don't just really want me to send them this thing, they want to know more about it. And it's like, no, they don't. They just literally saw that thing got a lot of views, and then they want you to give it to them, and they feel entitled to ask you for it, even though you've never had any other type of conversation with them, period, besides following them and them following you. So it's good to see, for me, it's good to see, like, okay, having that many followers and being that well known is not going to automatically give you friendship, connection, success, or whatever. Um, but because he has already strong connections with people and whatever, it almost like strengthens what he already has. So to give you an example for that, he already was going to move here. He already thought that people from here being Hawaii, were cool. And now because of his online presence, he has a friend who knows him, who only knows him through online things. And so when we came here, it was one of the first people that we saw at the airport randomly. Like he just was at the airport when we were at the airport, 'cause he was flying between islands, and he was like, hey, yeah, we should hang out, and you're cool and I like your stuff. And like, hey, cool. And like periodically they'll hit each other up, and I was like, oh, that's good to know. It wasn't like a leeching thing where oh, you're here, give me your secrets. It's like, oh, hey, like you're cool and you follow you, and like now you're in my city, and oh, I think you're cool too. Like, yeah. So it's like, okay, that's good to know. It's good for me to see that's not going to be the answer, and also it's not going to be a deterrent, and it's not going to like do anything negative to my life if I don't want it to be negative. And yeah, yeah, it's just good to see from the outside. If and I don't think a lot of people get to see that. It's not like you are like, oh, I want to be a famous computer programmer, and I want a friend who's already at that level to show me their entire life so I can know what to expect and what's safe and what's not safe. I don't think a lot of people get that. So it for me, I'm very grateful and thankful for that, and I'm also glad too that it's not like a weird thing between us at all. Like, yeah, not even like a little bit. So yeah. I don't remember why I was going to say that. He came in and he saw me recording and I yelled. And then, so I paused, he pooed, he got out. And now I'm just thinking about him and his career, which is great, by the way. It's going well and I'm really happy for him. And I'm happy that I get to see somebody do something outside the box. It's, no, I'm happy for anyone who finds happiness, but I just get tired of seeing the same version of happiness because I just don't buy into it. So it's hard for me to. Sometimes I just want to be like, "Are you sure that's the way and how? Like, do you want to try anything else?" So like seeing him be happy in this kind of like an alternative way, especially for his ethnic background, I guess, is like for me, re- rewarding to see. Like I like seeing it. I'm like, oh, it gives me like a warm fuzzy feeling. Like yeah, and I'm also even proud if that even makes sense to be with someone who kind of defied like what his group says is appropriate. I'm like, yeah, anyone can do it, and like he's doing it, and this wow, like it was hard for him because of approval and blah blah, but he did it well, and now he's representing for those people, and now more of his people are going to be involved, and it's just going to be more meshing and mixing of different cultures that would normally mesh and mix. Um, yeah, that's all I want to say about that. I'm just gonna drop it. Can I just drop it and I don't have a transition? Anything else I want to talk about today? I don't know. I think I want to talk about the fact that I'm not sure the first whatever minutes of this recorded, and I might have to do it again, and that's giving me anxiety. But other than that, thanks again for tuning in. I don't know when the next episode's going to be. I don't know what it's going to be about, but I'm really happy to have shared this with you guys. And yeah, I'm going to quickly check and make sure I recorded anything. And then if not, I'll be back. Bye. No, wait, hold on. Okay, I'm back. So I had to check real quick to see if I had not recorded all of that 27 whatever minutes that I just said or not. And now that I know that it's recorded and I don't have to retain any of it and, repeat everything I just said again, I just want to say that I have one more topic, and the topic is Star Wars. I am really upset that I like Star Wars now. I went a long time without watching a complete movie, and I literally grew up in a house where I saw every movie that came out. So that means that someone turned the movie on, made me sit in front of it, and I retained none of it. I can't remember any part of that thing. I don't remember the people or the Yoda, or I remember thinking like, how did he when did Yoda show up? And I'm pretty sure that I got sat down in front of all the original Star Wars movies. Zero retention. And now, oh, and even too, like as an adult, I went to the movie theater to watch Rogue One. I fell asleep right when the action part started. I woke up when everyone was dead, and I had no idea what happened or why, and I didn't enjoy it. And the only reason I watched it was because of what's his face was in there. Is it Donnie Yen? How come I can't remember his name now? It was like literally the only reason I went to watch it, and he was great. The little snippets that I saw of him in there, and I don't know what happened. I watched the last Star Wars movie and I loved it. And I had no idea who these people were or what happened. I have zero context. I didn't know anyone's name. I liked the acting. I liked how the story went out. I didn't really like the cheesy, like funny bits, but when, I was in the theater and I heard some like kids laughing with their parents, I was like, oh, that's why they did it, I guess. I don't know. But I really like Star Wars now, and it's not just me. So I went with my taller half, and he said the same thing. He's like, I kind of want to watch like all the movies now, the entire thing. And I was like, yeah, me too. And I was like, have you ever watched any other ones? He's like, no, probably not. And if I did, I fell asleep. I was like, yeah, same. I never liked it, and now I'm obsessed with it. Like I want to watch all of it, and we have been looking everywhere to find box sets of DVDs, but there are none. The only thing they have are these weird special, like, I want to collect them all, special edition, literally $100 for not even the new ones, just like the old ones. I guess it's, I don't even know. I need to Google, I now need to Google how many movies there are because I have no idea. I just know that that one had 6 discs in it and it was not any of the new ones, and I think, and it was $100, and we're like, whoa, geez, like, I don't know if I like it that much, and that's not even all of it. And like, yeah, seriously. So, Netflix doesn't have it. Hulu doesn't have it, I don't think. Uh, Redbox doesn't have it. I don't know where people go to watch this stuff. We didn't even know where to go to buy DVDs because we don't watch movies at all like that. So now I'm just really, I'm upset. I'm mad. I didn't want to be obsessed with anything. I especially did not want to be obsessed with a sci-fi movie that costs whatever $1 billion per DVD. And I'm also really still jonesing for, those discs, those movies. And I think if I had Game of Thrones, I'd be okay right now. But I don't. It's gone. It's gone until whenever they finish making those like epic episodes. I guess August of this year, 2018, August 2018. But yeah, if anyone knows how to watch Star Wars, it doesn't have to be for free. It doesn't have to be a bootleg. I just need to know a more viable way to watch Star Wars without dropping $200. But yeah, from the first whatever movie ever made until now, because I've literally only watched Rogue One on Netflix. I finished it, I fell asleep the first time. And then whatever one just came out in the theaters, the one where the guy from Girls is like a emo Darth Vader, and then the girl with the 3 buns. That's what I watched. And it's not enough. I need it all. We need it all from the beginning and in order. I mean, it doesn't have to be in order, but ideally in order. Yeah, I don't know where to do that. Where do you nerd? Tell me where you nerd. I need to know where the geeks play. Maybe that's what I have to go to. Those puzzle stores, those weird stores. It's like only like Dungeons and Dragons and like wood carved chessboard. Because I've seen those places and I'm like, what's in there? Like, why don't they just get regular toys? Or like, why do they need that special store? Like, I don't get it. What's in there that's... And it always is weird. It's like, it'll be like phone chargers, but also like specialty lightsabers. Like, I never understood who the demographic was. And then one time too, recently, I was at the Dole Cannery. So the Dole Cannery is this weird, the area that I'm talking about is an industrial complex. So you'll see like giant construction places, giant, kind of like Home Depot, Lowe's kind of things, Costco. And then there's randomly a Dole Cannery, which they turned into like an entertainment area. So on one side there's a theater, and then kind of like there's a theater, and there's also like spaces rented out for ballrooms and things like that. And then across, an area that looks like it used to be like an old Disneyland or old Universal Studios, but like nobody goes there because, again, I just told you what it's in the middle of. Like, not even next to a Lowe's, it's like next to the parking lots of these places. So there's this empty big area that, and the outside it's like, oh, food and bathrooms and drinks and souvenirs. But when you go in there, it's like dead. It's freezing cold. The lights, most of the light that came in was through the sunroof, and they didn't even bother to turn on the lights of the place. 2 security guards, and then in the middle there was a bunch of teenagers to adult, mostly male, some female people playing those weird nerdy games. Like, oh, it's a board game, but there are cards and action figures to it, and we all know the rules, and we're very focused and tired and hot from playing the game. And yeah, it was like it was a weird thing. It was like a Saturday morning, and we like randomly walked into that because I was looking for a way to get home without going through all of the billion parking lots that we came through. But I was like, oh, okay, so it's alive and well, whatever this thing is, and I'm sure that they are getting their supplies from somewhere. So I just have to find out where that is and how that works. Yeah, but I really wish, I honestly, this feels like 2005 or 2 or 3 again, where I was like into anime, and it was just not as accessible as it is now. You know, you had to do all downloading and know the nerds and know who to talk to and things like that. And, you know, I mastered that and then left it alone. And now look at me. I'm back. And it's a mainstream thing, thank goodness. But still, it doesn't feel good to be on the outside. It doesn't feel good for me ever to like stuff like that. I'm never proud to like things like that. And another thing too is like I just recently got into Rick and Morty, and I was like, oh, this feels like another downward spiral. But also too, I can't fight the way I feel. Like I enjoy it, and I need to watch more of it. And when I was looking for Star Wars DVDs, I was also looking at the, like, I didn't know there were Rick and Morty DVDs, and now I'm just like, oh, ugh. Someone please hold my hand. Like I need my adult to tell me that no, watching it on YouTube streamed is good enough, or wherever. I think it might even be on Netflix. I haven't checked, but yeah, that too. Rick and Morty, Star Wars. Those two things. I need to have it, and I thought that I needed to have. Well, okay, I need to have those things, and I thought that I was only needing to have the Marvel series, um, like the blockbuster Marvel movies that were gonna come out, like Black Panther. For me, I was like, okay, yeah, I've been waiting. Like I already knew when they put him in, like the other movies, yeah, they're gonna have a Black Panther one, because there's no way they're not gonna do like this epic Black Panther movie on cinema. Like, oh yeah, like it was big when it came out when I was in college, and it was like Jill Scott and other like notable black. I think Common too. They were the voice actors when it was the first animated, when they first animated like the pilot version of it, and then it disappeared or something. I don't know what happened. I would stop paying attention. But then I was like, oh yeah, if it ever comes back, like I'm definitely gonna support it, and it looks better than the original. So yeah, and that's what I thought I was gonna be obsessed with. That and Game of Thrones. And now there's like these two other new things, which I think it's filling the void until I get there. But still, like it's too much. It's overwhelming. I don't like to care about what's going to come out next. I usually wait till when I like series or when I'm watching anything like cult type of hobby things. I usually wait till it's like completely done. I avoid the internet. I avoid spoilers. Usually my friends are not into what I'm into, so all I have to do is avoid like where those circles are. And then when it's done, I binge watch or binge read or whatever. It's usually watch. And then I feel a release and I'm good for a while. Like I know, okay, fine. I watched 2 seasons at once. That's good enough. I'm going to wait for a long time for the next one. That's fine. I'll probably have one other series and then I'm free. Like I don't ever have to think about those things again. But now I have 4 in rotation, and it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't. But what else do I have to do? But still, it doesn't feel good. And then I want to talk about it with people, but who am I going to talk to Star Wars about? It's been out like decades. And then I don't want to go in the circles and talk about it. And then you guys are going to have to hear about it, because who else is going to, you know? I was even thinking about doing a Rick and Morty episode where I dissect the real human aspects of them, because they're definitely 3-dimensional characters, and I can see where they got... Oh, everyone except Morty, I still have no idea what he's about, and I don't understand where they are pulling from. Not because it's like, where did that come from? It's just because I'm just not familiar. Not that it's not like a true, not that he's not an archetype for something that does exist, but definitely, yeah, the other characters, I'm like, okay, yeah, they remind me of a lot of stuff that I was reading. And at first, when I was reading it, I was like, I don't know what that means or like where that looks like. And now now that I've read and like I digested and also see those elements in myself, I can see them in these like caricatures of, you know, all the main characters on the show. And I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. These people are smart, and they know, and they get it too, because only people who have been through it would be able to depict the issues that they found in these characters. Was that it? Is that all I wanted to say? I'm just letting you guys know it's gonna get really geeky for the rest of this year. 2018, I'm looking for love in the form of friendship, and I'm gonna be geeking out on those 4 things. Probably even more things. I don't know. It's getting really bad. It's getting so bad that I'm afraid to look at what other people are watching. Like, I don't know what Black Mirror is. I'm not going to try to find out. Stranger Things, I was never big on it. I think because I'm scared of the upside down. I'm always scared of it because of the music and the way that it looks, and it's just so tense. Like, Renona Ryder? Oh my gosh, is that her name? I don't remember. The mom, she gives me anxiety, so. And I didn't watch that stuff really in the 80s anyway, so I wasn't that big into it, but I'm trying, or I tried, or I'm going to try again. I watched the first episode of this season. Um, I don't know. I remember something else I was trying to avoid. The guy from Arrested Development, the main guy, he's in that other one when the title of it is like a weird space looky thing. Will Smith has a new Netflix series that I'm trying to actively avoid, where he's a cop and his partner's an alien rock mutant guy. Um, if Gotham comes back on, yeah, I watch Gotham. If The Hundreds comes back on, I'm gonna inhale it. Can't remember what else. But yeah, in general, I try not to watch anything because that's what happens. Like one thing after another, one episode after another, one series after another to like help you get over the other series. And I'm not saying that it's bad to do that. I'm not even saying that the content that I'm watching is bad, because it's really well written, and I like the direction things have been going, even on a lot of networks that I don't really respect. But again, like, I don't want to. I don't want to care. I don't want to be sucked into it. I don't want to binge watch. Like, it hurts to do it. And unless something really resonates with me for whatever reason, like either the storyline is helping me connect with something, or it's just a different perspective for me to have about, just different things in life. Sure, but it just it's so easy to care so much about those things. And I want to have like equally epic and exciting things outside of the TV. I don't always just want to consume culture. I sometimes want to experience it or engage with it or create it. So these little peaks and valleys that the shows provide do kind of take me out of that want and make me kind of like numb and lazy to the things that I want to do. Because how can you compete with that? Like, my everyday life, the things that I make, this podcast is not as peak as a season finale, you know? Like, they do them good. They get right where they know how people work. So I have to just be careful. But I'm, like, again, I'm scared and I'm also excited that those things exist and that I like them. I just need to scratch the itch, then, separate for a while, then scratch another itch and take a big break. And hopefully, with all the things that I like on my plate, that this year I get a breather from those things. Okay, I think now for real, that's it. Unless I was going to talk about resolutions. Probably not. It's boring. I don't think you guys care. You guys probably have your resolutions, and if you don't, then you probably hate them. So why bother, right? Okay. I think I can be done. I feel like I can be done now. All right. Thanks again for listening. Thanks for letting me say that one last part before I signed off officially. It feels good. And yeah. Bye.